Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday, and we are almost at the end of this little series of videos. We have one position left that I would like to cover with an eye towards the future because this is a position the Seahawks have done a really good job of addressing for this upcoming season, 2022. They've actually maybe done a little too much if you look at everything in totality. I don't know if you can ever say that you've done too much to shore up a position, but you could at least argue it here. I'm talking about nickel cornerback. We have quite a bit going in 2023. I'm sorry, in 2022 at the position. However, after 2022 is over, once you get into 2023, there isn't a whole lot to talk about. So, with that in mind, even though we are well covered for this upcoming season, after the season's over, we're we don't know exactly what we're going to have because I have 5 players listed as nickel cornerbacks for this team, or at the very least, they are capable of playing nickel cornerback, and only one of them is under contract in 2023. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. It's possible that we bring one of those 4 guys back, and that pretty much takes care of it. But I have some pretty significant questions about doing that with any of these players. And unless one particular thing goes a certain way, this is going to be a problem in 2023. So we may need to address it. And I went to DEFCON 3 on the position. Now, look, this team has generally done a pretty good job finding quality nickel cornerbacks over the years, so if we need to go get one, it's not like it's going to be some huge expenditure. Nickel corners are typically not super expensive anyway, but you still have to do it. You still have to devote the time and energy into locating that player if you feel like he's not currently on your roster. Now, there's one player who I'm going to talk about in a minute here who, if they do the right things in this upcoming season, which I believe they will have the opportunity to do, or at the very least show in practice that they can do it, then this becomes basically a non-issue. But this player that we're talking about is coming back from a major injury. This player may not even fit in at the position. It depends on what direction we choose to go. So I'm not going to assume it right now, but we should talk about it as a realistic possibility. Okay, so first we have Hugo Ahmadi. He's the incumbent starter at nickel cornerback. I was not that impressed with him last year. He picked up a lot of penalties. I wasn't particularly taken with how he improved. I don't even know if he did improve. I thought he was probably a better player in 2020 than 2021. Now, he may stay with the team this year. He may play a lot. He may be the starter for most or the entire year. But even if he is good, even if you do like him, even if I know there are some people who like Ugo more than I do. He is a free agent next year, so even if he does do good, there's no guarantee he'll be back. We also have Justin Coleman, who we just signed out of free agency in this most recent offseason. Good enough signing. Coleman had some nice years in Seattle as a nickel corner, and he's been, well, up and down since he left, but this is a 1-year deal. There's no guarantee that Coleman even makes the 53-man roster because his contract is so small. You could easily let him go, and it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world, not even close. So, given the fact that Coleman is an older player as well, I wouldn't count on him. Marquise Blair coming off a second straight massive injury. I don't even know if nickel cornerback is really his position. It seems to me that he's a safety more so, but it's hard to know because we never get a good look at this guy because he gets hurt so much. 2022 is going to be a big year for him. So I don't have a lot of confidence in any of these guys, both in their quality of play and their availability after 2022 because they're all free agents. The wild card here is Trey Brown. He had an impressive start to his career last year, and then it was cut short by injury, but he was playing outside. Now, I think the dream for the Seahawks going into 2023 and beyond would be you have Tariq Woolen as cornerback 1, you have Kobe Bryant as cornerback 2, and then Trey Brown's your starting nickel. So that way Trey Brown still gets to start, still gets to play a lot, still gets to utilize his considerable abilities, but you're able to put him at nickel where he'll more likely be able to be effective because he is a smaller guy. And I know he did well as an outside corner last year, and I know we drafted him knowing that he was going to at least play some outside corner, or at least that was going to be a venue open to him. But he might fit in better as a nickel. And if that happens, then you have a guy for 2 years after this year at a very cheap rate. He's going to make like $2.3 million over the next 2 years after this upcoming season. And we also have John Reed, but whatever, right? So hopefully what happens is that Trey Brown comes back, impresses at nickel, and we're like, okay, that's the guy in 2023 and beyond. He's the starting nickel. He's the number one nickel. And then John Reed is going to be a restricted free agent. You're probably going to be able to get him for the minimum. Probably a little less than $1 million, maybe right around $1 million. You're going to be able to get him back, no problem, and then he's your starting nickel corner your reserve nickel corner behind Trey Brown. And then you let Ahmadi go, Coleman go, Blair go. They're all free agents. And then you're rolling with Brown as your starter and Reed as your backup. That's kind of the ideal. But what if it doesn't play out that way? What if Trey Brown ends up as one of your outside corners because maybe Woolen's not ready yet? Maybe Kobe ends up being a bit of a disappointment. It's possible. So if that doesn't happen, then you're going to need to find a starter going forward. Maybe Trey Brown's occupied playing outside. That would be the main issue because we already know Trey Brown can play. It wasn't a big sample size, but he clearly looked good last year. We know he can play at least some. But if circumstances dictate that he needs to continue to be an outside corner, which, look, you've also got Sidney Jones kicking around there, so hopefully the odds of that are reduced. But if that's the way this ends up going, or if Trey Brown doesn't make it back from a pretty devastating injury, let's talk options. I don't have a ton, but here are some guys that I have my eye on. 5 free agents. Let's start with Bradley Roby. He's been a really good nickel corner at various points in his career. I believe it was Bronco at first. He's been around for a while. He's also had some bad years where things just really weren't coming together for him very well at all. Roby's future financial prospects are going to heavily depend on what he does this year. If he has a good year, then he's going to be able to lean on that and possibly get $6-7 million a season. But if he continues to kind of slowly decline into what he's shown to be at times over the last couple years, then you could probably get him cheap, 1 year, $3 million. He's a veteran stopgap option in the vein of a Justin Coleman, and you would basically be pulling him in for a cheap cost and saying, hey, flip a coin. Heads, he ends up being a decent option for a year. Tails, he's washed up. So that would be my first target. This next guy is kind of the big spender option, and because of that, I think he's kind of already off the table. It's Jonathan Jones, formerly of the Patriots, one of the better nickel corners in the league. You would have to spend big on him. I say 3 years, $24 million. He's only going to be 29 though, and he is worth that money. Not realistic though, because this team just doesn't need to spend that much money on a nickel cornerback, and most teams don't anyway. This is not even like a Pete Carroll specific thing. There's just no need for it. A few other guys would be Anthony Brown. Now, Anthony Brown is a player who, in the biggest moments, puts himself out there in a very negative way. Like, he was probably the worst player on the field in the Cowboys-Bucks game in Week 1, the season opener. He was probably the worst player on the field in the Thanksgiving game, Cowboys-Raiders, but overall, he did have a pretty good season. And if he has another decent season in 2022, then next year at 29, I think you are going to have to pay him something. His last contract gave him 3 years, 15. So I said 2 years, 10. It could easily be a little bit more. He is entering the theoretical prime of his career. It really just kind of depends on how he plays this year, which goes for just about anybody. Next up, we have a guy who's probably a little past his prime, but has been one of the better nickel corners in the league before. It's Troy Hill. He's been a Brown. He's been a Ram. He's been really, really good at points in the past, but we are talking about a 31-year-old nickel corner. That's dangerous. So I don't know if you want to be the team that pays him as he gets on the wrong side of 30, but he will be a free agent next year, and he has an established track record. So Troy Hill is another veteran stopgap option who would cost a little bit more, but you know what they say, you get what you pay for, right? And he's probably a little more credible at this point than a guy like a Roby. The last guy would be Mike Hughes. He was a former first-round pick, didn't work out great in, I think it was Minnesota, but I think as a nickel corner, he would have a pretty good chance. He's a slightly smaller guy, and some of the teams he's been on previously have tried to start him outside. I think maybe if you moved him to nickel, you would have something a little bit more credible. He'll only be 26 next year, so he's still young, and because he's kind of struggled in his career so far, I'm thinking 1 year, $3 million, and that's if he has an okay year this year. So Mike Hughes would be the fifth and final free agent I would target. There are going to be some other guys. There are going to be some really low-level guys who most of us haven't even heard that much about that Pete might target because he likes them. But it's really hard to know who those guys are going to be. These are like the more high-profile guys. These are the guys who would probably be a little better, at least, than Hugo Ahmadi. So if you want to upgrade from Ahmadi and you're willing to spend a decent chunk of change to make it happen, then these five guys would be the guys that I target in no particular order, but these are it's almost like a tier list in terms of cost, right? Like Roby and Hughes are the cheap options, Brown and Hill are the median options, and Jones is the Cadillac. As for the upcoming draft, initial impressions is that there aren't a lot of nickel corners. I see a lot of corners, of course. A lot of them are bigger, though. I would expect them to play on the outside. So, as of right now, I see a lot of outside corners in this draft. Now, as this year goes on, we're going to learn more about these players. Some of these guys are going to put themselves out there as better in nickel or the slot than they are outside, even though they're maybe 6 feet tall. That does happen. And conversely, you're also going to find some of these shorter guys possibly out themselves as being able to play outside. And generally speaking, as a cornerback, if you can play outside well, you're going to end up there because you play more and it's just more valuable to these teams. So we're going to need to watch this season play out to figure out who can do what. But 3 guys that I would put everyone's eyes on to start the college football season would be Clark Phillips III of Utah, 5'10", 184 pounds, currently projects out to be a second-round pick. And Trevius Hodges Tomlinson of TCU, he's even smaller than that, 5'9", 177 pounds, also a second-rounder as of right now. Those guys, because of their size, 5'9" is actually really starting to push it a little bit. Unlikely they end up having a chance to play outside in the NFL, even if they're doing it at the college level. But if they're fast enough, then they will be able to hold up as slot defenders. So those would be the 2 big guns. Maybe one of them slips to like the 3rd round. I think that's an area where you would be far more likely to see this team be willing to address the position with a pick. 2nd round, nickel corner, doesn't really seem necessary, right? We've had so much success at the position in the past with picks much lower than that, day 3 picks. The one sleeper that I'm going to draw people's attention to is another Coastal Carolina player, DeJordan Strong. It was a really, really dry crop of nickel corner, so I wanted to find one guy who was kind of deep in the early big boards. 5'11", 175 pounds, probably needs to add some weight, but currently he's projected to be about a 7th rounder, so you could get him very, very late. Probably, you might not even have to draft him. But those would be the 3 guys I initially put the target on, but there are going to be other guys that emerge as the season goes on, as is the case for most of these positions, but especially nickel corner, because when you're a defensive back in college, where you play in college often has surprisingly little to where you play in the NFL if you make it. So that's it, and that's it for this series. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think I missed anybody, how you think this is going to play out. Let me know, and I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks.